Shalom, everybody. I hope everybody's doing great this starting Monday. I know sometimes Mondays aren't always the funnest because that's when work time happens for most. But I hope everybody is doing great and that it's a fantastic Monday regardless. It's that time again where we come together and we study with one another. Granted, of course, I know it's just one-sided because I am doing it my own way of not going live as of yet. But I just hope that as it's out there, that you are studying alongside me with your own study materials and you're just, taking it all in and seeing where my mind has gone with Father, because that's what it is to have this relationship with Father, to be able to meet Him on His mountain and just have this relationship with you and Him. And of course, then when you start doing all of what He asks of you and stuff, it's nice to come together as a body, a community, which we should be coming together as a body. And then being subject to one another and hearing each other out, and being mindful and considerate of not leaning on your own understanding, but also hearing that of what Father has shown others, because it can also help you with your own studies. But for moments like this where you could just study on your own, let Father sharpen you and don't feel like you have to have it all down quickly, because with Father it's a never-ending growing in knowledge and in his understanding. You're never gonna have it fully down, and but it's not to say that we aren't supposed to keep trying our best to keep on getting it down. That's the beauty of that relationship until we're back home with Him, and everything is just, it makes, everything is just understood fully. But with that in mind, before I go into prayer and we get started into the reading, I want to read what's my encouragement when I come before Him and I'm studying with Him. I always think of His own words of those that, get grafted into His Son, that have made their way to seeing His words to be true, and that He is the only God and His Son is our Messiah. And you've gone through everything to really see, is He really the God of gods, and is He real? And you've questioned all these things, but you examined everything to test it out rather than just going off by what you were raised to believe. And then finally, accepting His Son and accepting Him, then you can start going before Him. And so that inspiration comes to me. What touches me is Father's words in Isaiah 56. And so I thought to read a little bit of it from Isaiah 56, verse 6 to 8. And you can start reading at verse 1, but I'm just going straight to what always lets me know that when I'm coming before Him, I feel like it's just me and Him time. I'm trying to learn, and me just being in His presence is that one-to-one time, to where I feel comfortable and I'm able to come before Him and tell Him my thoughts and wonders of His word and ask for that guidance. And so He goes on to say in verse 6, and the foreigners who join themselves to Yehovah to minister to him. Okay, so ministering to him, that's why I look at it as that you're showing him what you understand of the word. You're showing him where he's put your mind at that particular moment in another example to it. That's where you can try to talk to him and be like, Father, this is what you're saying, and this is how I'm understanding it. What I can try to connect it to what I see in the literal. Something to that. Whatever it's just by example. Whatever we read from him, and we sit and we think on it and ponder and meditate, and then you just have that conversation with him. Ministering to him. To love the name of Yehovah and to be his servants. Everyone who keeps the Sabbath and does not profane it and holds fast my covenant, these I will bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar. And now we're his living sacrifice, and so we get to bring him, what we understand, having that relationship, different form of offerings before him, honoring him with our praise, going before him in worship, those type of sacrifices, being his living sacrifice. Our free will, giving him more time, extra time, not just on what you can give him by his commanded feasts, his Sabbath or Sabbaths, stuff like that, but even extra time, to me that's when you read about those that did vows and free will offerings and stuff like that, it makes me think that that's even extra. You're just giving him extra to love him by. And make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. Yehovah, who gathers the outcasts of Israel, declares, I will gather yet others to him, besides those already gathered. Okay, so many more will be coming to Father, because he's the one that draws us. If he can see that there's a heart out there, good soil, searching and seeking, he will draw them. He will give them more and more of his insights, and things will start to register, because of in this world where it's so evil and corrupt, and the trickery behind many denominations have so many blind. But when he sees that there's one in that crowd, I know a lot of people like to say that in their churches that Satan is the one that goes around like a lion seeking who he can devour, and that he's in church settings. But when it's already a denomination that's kind of like unto Satan's trickeries or his schemes and keeping people blind, he keeps them there. But Father too goes around checking who is saying things and laying claim to his name. So it's a spiritual battle between Satan and Father. And so Father himself will go around seeing in the enemy's territory of religion who's out there with a good heart, a soil that will accept little, the people that Father will put in their path just to give more seed or to water or to help their understanding grow. And that's how a lot of us have come out of the traps of religions out there. And so, yeah, Father will go out and he will draw many more to him, as you can see from that verse that I wanted to share with you. With that, I wanted to also share from, of course, it's going to be in the Septuagint. We're going to get through them, as of course, but I thought this can also give much more of an insight as to what inspires me, or what keeps me so happy of coming before Father. How do I say it? Like in the raw, just being able to come and express everything without no shame, in the sense that, that was my past, and embarrassing, like I said before, it is embarrassing knowing how much he was around, and no one, myself, I didn't know how much his presence was around, because we got trained to think that he's only in church when you get to church. So the things you do outside is kind of that popular saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So it's kind of like that type of weird saying, where it's kind of like a devilish saying, if you really think on it. It is. That's why so many people use it. But it's kind of like one and the same, to where what happens in behind your house or closed doors, we think that he's not present. But as we keep studying this word, and we keep, learning how to die to self and let the word do exactly what so many people say, you can't judge me, only God can, but they don't want to read the word to let Father judge them by it. It's an oxymoron, but it's just how they are. Many, and I was possibly included in that. I'm not going to say possibly, I should say maybe I was. I think I was more standoffish, though, when it came down to defending what I thought by traditions were actually biblical, but because I didn't search them. It's not to say I didn't like correction, because I know that's what church is somewhat supposed to be geared towards, telling you how to live right. But of course, church-wise, it's more or less on morals, what you feel you're doing as of a good job, and even if you think yourself, what you think is of good, and crediting it yourself, whether it seems right by moral standard yourself, giving it the credit, it's not up to code, not up to Father's standard, and that's where we still erred. But with that, I can say I didn't mind the corrections when they came, from the denominations I came from. I saw which ones were, it's just like, you listened to the priest out of Catholicism. That's the first one I came from. But your parents still had more of the say in the home, but would go to the priest if needed, really. But it's not to say that you weren't being taught how to have a good, home environment by it. To be honest, I can't really say I remember much of what was taught there. A lot of ritual of sit, stand, kneel, sit, stand, kneel. But I didn't really pay attention much to the priest, to be honest, really sad. And even when I had to do certain classes to meet the requirements of stages through the Catholic faith, it wasn't really much. I was growing in there. Honestly, I just wanted to be with my friends. And many of us admitted that with one another. So I don't know if they're out there hearing, but I do remember a lot of us weren't really genuine to it. As is said of many of them, that still they claim to being it, but they're not faithful to it. You see, it's kind of just, I don't know, it's weird. But anyways, and then jumping to the next one, that one was more like it did teach you to get into the Word, but only so much of it. And by that one, I came from the apostolic faith. But at least it advanced me more as to opening up a Bible. Catholic ones, we had pamphlets, but the apostolics one, we opened our Bibles, but only so much of it was needed for your right way of being a follower of Messiah, and the rest is just like, it's not needed. So, but anyways, I'm just happy that Father does see those that are willing to hear, willing to see, and that they finally get to a place where they're, they become curious for whatever reason. And he sets things up, I'm just noticing all my past steps with him, how he sets things up and how he was getting ready to pull me from each one to where I'm at today. And it's been something to see how much the enemy has his grip on so many. But I'm just glad that he draws people to him. And so I wanted to read from the second book of Esdras, okay? And it's on chapter 1, starting at 35, okay? Because even the ones that Father started off with of the people, they've let him down. They stopped believing in him, even though they visually could see him. They became rebellious. I don't know, that's just what happened. So then Father started saying, fine, you don't want me, you seem like you want the rest of all these, other places and what they do and what they offer to their gods and not me as your own. I will select people to myself that will accept me. And that's where a lot of us get grafted in. But of course, as we keep on reading, we're going to see where we cannot become like boastful or pride to set in, because even those he cut off being his chosen, they can still get regrafted, and that's the hope, that's the desire. But we too, having not been of the permanent, the first chosen, we can easily be taken off, not accepted. So anyways, it says, your houses will I give to a people that shall come, which not having heard of me, yet shall believe me, to whom I have showed no signs, yet they shall do that I have commanded them. They have seen no prophets, yet they shall call their sins to remembrance, and acknowledge them. I take no witness I not take no, sorry, two. I take to witness the grace of the people to come, whose little ones rejoice in gladness, and though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the thing that I say. And now, brother, behold, what glory, and see the people that cometh from the east, unto whom I will give for leaders. And here are examples. When we start reading the word, we have examples to, this is how we start knowing how to follow Father through the ones that He's given us to read about. And so we have Abraham, he lists them here: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Oseas, which is Hosea, Amos, and Machias, which is Micah, or Machias, which is Micah, Joel, Abadias, which is Obadiah, and Jonas, Nahum, and Habakkuk, which is Habakkuk, and then Sophonias, which is Zephaniah, Agaius, and which is Haggai, and then Zechariah, I don't know whether we say Zachary. By the English would be saying Zachary, but Zechariah, unless it's Zechariah with a Y. And then and Malachi, which is Malachi. When you get into the Apocrypha, you'll see the two different spellings as to why it might seem like I'm saying the same name, but one is with the Y and one is with the I, which is called also an angel of Yehovah. And so that's why you can even think to Messiah's own words where blessed are those that believe and yet they don't see, we have yet to see. And so that's how we all get drawn. We get drawn to Messiah. We get drawn to Father. We get drawn to Messiah through all these leaders that He has placed before us, to see how He drew people to Him and how it started off where He took people out from. Okay, because Abraham himself, he came out of just like many of us, with traditions and culture and customs, and Father drew him away, from his environment of what he was known, or he was raised in. So with the examples we have, we can see how many were being drawn by Father to come and being a people that will choose Him, will want Him. Okay, so, but now y'all can see which ones are the ones I always kind of meditate or think on whenever it comes down to like wanting to come and just speak with Him on His mountain, and that one-to-one time, because first I was a foreigner and now I'm not, I'm a child of His, being called out. But anyways, let us get started. I know that I have been wanting not to go long, but I just kind of want to see how everybody's day is, and just to share a little bit more of me before we even get into the studies, and then you can see more or less, kind of like just getting to know me more. But anyways, let's go into prayer and get started. Abba Yehovah, we come before you giving you praise and thanks today. I want to thank you, Father, for the examples that you have given us to look through, to see how it is that you got everything going, starting since the start of creation, and how things were made by you, and then how you started to, set things in place for everything to obey you, to give glory and honor to you, not just that of what we see by creation of nature, but we too are from nature as well, and we are creatures just the same, and we are to obey, all of us. But with all that you have made, we are a lot more favored because we are made in the image and likeness of you, and you have given us some a free will, but you're hoping upon us to always select you and want to do right according to what pleases you, Father. And so I just want to thank you for all that we get to see, Father, and to examine as we're walking out through your words, what it is to knowing you and to knowing those that came before us. So this way we can glean what is right and see what it is that is acceptable before you, and learn from, but not continue repeating mistakes of those that what they've done that made separations happen or got punishments, that we learn from them and not to repeat them. So I just hope, Father, that we are doing great before you. And I thank you, Father, for taking your time with each and every one of us and seeing where we're at and just knowing how to speak to us through, through things, through each other, all of us being able to hear you in everywhere, Father. You're always speaking. We just have to take the time to notice. So I just thank you, Father, for all that you do and for taking care of us, no matter where we go. You're always with those that love you and have accepted you, and do according to what you say. We are your children. So we thank you, and that's why we call you Abba. We love you so much. Be with us as we read your word today, and help us to retain it and to keep it, Father. In Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. Okay, so we were on, I think I got done with chapter 10, of course, and so I'll put the 1 hour, and then we'll recap, and then go forward. I'm just trying to get my alarm. Okay, 1 hour started. Okay, so last time we had gotten through seeing the flood happen, and as to like what ended up coming to that point of the needed flood. Father already had put up with the people's disobedience for far too long. They were already starting to they left him. They left doing anything that was right in his sight. And we get to see how many just started turning their ears from listening to him and doing their own things by even announcing their own justice, in a sense. And so as corruption grew, Father's wrath finally hit its peak, and he was like, no, it's time to start with just one person that I see that's going to do things right for me. And he saved Noah and his family. But it's not to say that Noah did not go out trying to help people understand that we are supposed to be doing right. Eventually we'll get to a place where it talks about Noah and him being righteous, a righteous judge, and trying to wake people up before this one event was about to come, but nobody wanted to take his word for it. And then it came. Okay, and then all of a sudden we see now after the flood what ended up happening with the situation of Noah's son Ham and the event that situation that happened between now I know it doesn't state it there. It's it can go as either way, but you would have to come down to just judging it for yourself with when we get to the laws. If it was that Ham, done something to Noah himself, it could be thought that way. But could it be that he uncovered his dad's nakedness through his mom? And some might say, oh, gross, like what thing to do that with their parent and stuff like that. But wickedness inside people, so many have different, it's just, if you don't have Father, it can go in whatever direction. The enemy will put whatever in the direction to bring, I don't know. But the example that came to me that I was going to say that it's a possibility is when we get to the story of Lot and his daughters. Okay, so that will come much later from that story. Unless some of you can recall it. But Lot's daughters, his own daughters, slept with their dad. So it can be a very big possibility that Ham did uncover his dad's nakedness by the wife, his mom. And that's why we end up seeing Cain get cursed by Noah. Okay, so I don't think I need to recap on anything other than that. I mean, we just saw where the flood happened finally, and then when it finally was gone. Oh, I think that was the only thing I was also going to bring up is that we went with Noah. We see that Noah also became drunk. And this is why down the road when we get into the laws, why Father does not want us to drink in too much beyond our control. Because, I mean, could this have been prevented? I don't know. Could it have come out a different way? Possibly. Who knows? We just never know. But we can never drop the ball with Father of what we see by the examples, what we know of the laws. We have to stay on guard, not just for our sake, because of the fact that, but for the rest, because if we don't keep it together, and then the rest can get out of control. It can just turn into a domino effect. That's why each one is accountable to doing right. Let's see here. I don't know if I was going to say something towards the flood, if it was in regards towards how some people can ruin such a good thing for the rest. I know something came to my mind in saying something towards that, but I just can't recall in what part I was going to mention that, because sometimes that's what ends up happening, and many people suffer for it because one person, or however you look at it, many people ruin a good thing, and then the rest suffer by it. But maybe it'll come to me later on. But let's get started fully now. Now that I've shared a little bit as to what we did read about. Okay, so now we're in chapter 11, the Tower of Babel. That's the title. Let's go. We'll read verse 32 real quick in chapter 10 and then move forward. These are the tribes of the sons of Noah, according to their generations, according to their nations. From these, the islands of the nations were scattered about on the earth after the flood. After the flood. Okay, oh yeah, we're reading about all the descendants of Noah at that point. Okay, and all the earth was one language, and there was one voice for all. And this happened when they moved from the east. They found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they settled there. And a human said to their neighbor, "Come on, let's make bricks and bake them in the fire." And the brick turned into stone for them, and the clay was asphalt for them. And they said, Come on, let's build ourselves a city and a tower, whose head will be as far as the heavens. And we will make a name for ourselves before we are scattered over the face of the whole earth. And Yehovah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of humans built. And Yehovah said, "Look, there is one race and one language of all, and they have begun to do this. And now they will not fail at all that they try to do. Come on, let's go down there to confound their language, so that each of them will not understand their neighbor's voice." Okay, and I forgot about the whole letters. No one popped up. The A. Let us see here. Sorry, bear with me one moment. I'm trying to make sure I give you all, including myself, because like I said, this is a brand new Bible for me to talk with Father on. I just want to make sure I give every bit of information to help us gain the understanding. Can't find that little letter A. I see the B. Oh, okay, there's that little letter A. It was when we read chapter 10. So I already gave that last time, I think. But just to recap on it once again, until one comes two, it was literally as far as coming as far as. Okay, two. That was in verse 19. But here in chapter 11, we have the little letter B next to the word understand. So as it says in verse 7, come on, let us go down there to confound their language so that each of them will not understand, means literally to hear, so that they do not hear their neighbor's voice. And Yehovah scattered them from that place over the face of all the earth. And they stopped building the city and the tower. So now I don't know at this point if this is just expounding now, having seen when we first started off in 32, verse 32, because that recapped a little bit, if that's where the, like I said, continents got split, if that was when they were first all together, being one people, one voice, all the continents were together. They look like puzzle pieces. And now we're seeing what's happened as to how it got split. Of course, we can still look to it as if it was because of the flooding part, which it still can be because of that whole flooding part and stuff like that. But maybe it's all connected somehow. I don't know. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. From chapter 1, we see kind of like a summary as to like what happened. Father just letting us know this is what events took place, day 1, day 2, day 3. And then now all of a sudden we're seeing just a bigger picture as to what happened during these, you know, as life was being lived out and the things he was seeing by us humans, by the humans, you know, just showing us what was going on. Okay, so I don't know how to look at this part, if that's why we say from verse 32, from these the islands of the nations were scattered about on the earth after the flood. Okay, so it's saying after the flood. So maybe one major event was seen by the flooding, and then now we're seeing a different major event by the splitting. I don't know, that's how I look at it, because in one situation of what the people did before Noah, during Noah, at the same time, water covered the whole earth. And then now all of a sudden, what was happening still through Noah's family got, I don't know, maybe the earth shaking and breaking apart, and it got the islands to be split, or the land to be split into islands. From these the islands of the nations were scattered. about on the earth after the flood. I don't know if that's even the right way of thinking on it. I don't know. Something to gain full understanding when we're with Father. Okay. Okay, so going back to verse 8, and Yehovah scattered them from that place over the face of all the earth. Unless it was just the fact that those islands were just already broken up. And then he made them. Maybe they were all in one area together. And then they were, separated. There's so many ways to try to think on that thought. But anyways, let's continue so we can see more to Father's ways. Okay, and Yehovah scattered them from that place over the face of all the earth, and they stopped building the city and the tower. Because of this, they called its name Confusion. Because there Yehovah confounded the language of all the earth, and from there Yehovah scattered them over the face of all the earth. Let's see, so what can we gain from that? This is more or less like where you think, where you think to be doing something, wanting to establish something or to bring about, I don't know, some type of planned, I don't know. It's just in a sense your plans. If it shows Father that it's going to be something that he's not going to like, he can alter your setup, what you're setting yourself out to do, and he's like, no, I'm not having it. So plans can definitely be changed by Father. Definitely. So I mean, you can kind of look at the attitude that can be seen by it with the people's comments. Come on, let's make bricks and bake them in fire. Come on, let's build ourselves a city and a tower whose head will be as far as the heavens, and we will make a name for ourselves before we are scattered over the face of the whole earth. So you can see much attitude that's happening there, like, we're powerful people and nothing can take us down, that kind of thing. We're gonna our name is gonna our building and our name is gonna reach even that of heaven, kind of seeming like wanting to be with God, one with God, like we can be just as powerful. I don't know. But even by their own words, Father's like, I'm gonna use your words against you, that backfiring where they said, before we are scattered over the face of the whole earth. And his Father's like, yep, on your words, I'm going to make that happen. Good idea. But gotta be careful what your plans are and what you say, because Father is everywhere. And if he sees that it's gonna be you know, of vain pursuit, even, going beyond what he is like, okay, no, you're not going to have this pride thing going about you. You'll work your own words against you. So, okay, that's what I see. Be careful what your plans are and be careful what you say, because it can, Father will make it backfire. Okay, verse 10. And we have a title, and it says Shem's descendants. And these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he fathered Ar Arpachshad. I don't know how to pronounce these words. During the second year after the flood. And Shem lived for 500 years after he fathered Arpachshad, but it's PA, not Arphax. There's no PH. This is Arphaxad still. The P is an F. Okay. My husband's helping me on the side, everybody. Arphaxad. Okay. And he fathered sons and daughters, and he died. And Arphaxad lived 135 years and fathered Canaan. And Arphaxad lived after he fathered Canaan for 430 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and he died. And Canaan lived 130 years, and he fathered Shelah. And Canaan lived after he fathered Shelah for 330 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and he died. And Shelah lived 130 years and fathered Eber, and Shelah lived after he fathered Eber for 330 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and he died. And Eber lived 134 years and fathered Peleg, and Eber lived after he fathered Peleg for 370 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and he died. And Peleg lived 130 years and fathered Reu, or Ru. I don't know. Sometimes some of these words I end up pronouncing them like, the way I understand how to pronounce certain Spanish words. So I don't know, Ru or Reu. So I don't know. And Peleg lived after he fathered Ru for 209 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and he died. And Reu lived 132 years and fathered Seruj, and Reu lived after he fathered Serug or Seruj for 207 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and he died. And the Seruj or Serug lived 130 years and fathered Nahor. And Serug lived after he fathered Nahor for 200 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and he died. And Nahor lived 79 years and fathered Terah and Terah, it's one R, Terah. And Nahor lived after he fathered Terah for 129 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and he died. And Terah lived 70 years and fathered Abram and Nahor and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah fathered Abram and Nahor and Haran. Okay, so starting by verse 27, the new title right here is now it goes on to Terah's descendants. Okay, so now it's focusing on just Abraham, of course, his dad right here, and his children. Okay, so Terah fathered Abram and Nahor and Haran, and Haran fathered Lot. And Haran died in the presence of Terah his father, in the land in which he originated, in the territory of the Chaldeans. See, so now we know where they are from. Okay, so, and Haran died. Okay, so this is Terah's son. He died in his presence. His father. So right here we can see where it's first mentioned of, I guess, no, this would be the second, but this is by, I guess, natural death. I was gonna say this would be like the first event you could see where a father loses a child, but then I forgot about Cain and Abel, but that one was by murder, sadly. And this one, I guess, is by natural death. Okay, sorry, verse 28, and Haran died in the presence of Terah, his father, in the land in which he originated, in the territory of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took wives for themselves. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, daughter of Haran. Okay, so Haran was Abram's and Nahor's brother that passed, and so she was his daughter. Okay, she was his daughter. And the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. Okay, so we could see Milcah. Wife was Milcah, daughter of Haran, and the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah and Sarai. I don't know whether to look at that as having two daughters, Milcah. I think it's just the same one, and it's just saying that he also was dad of Iscah. I don't know, but the way it's worded, it kind of feels like it's two Milcahs and one Iscah. And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, daughter of Haran, and the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. Could just be on repeat. Milcah's Milcah, the same person. And Sarai was barren, and she was not able to bear children. And Terah took Abram, his son, and Lot, son of Haran. Okay, so here we see Haran had Milcah, Iscah, and Lot as his children. His grandson, okay, we're still talking about Terah here, and Terah took Abram his son and Lot, son of Haran, his grandson, and Sarai, Abram's wife, his daughter-in-law, and he led them out of the territory of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. Okay, so Terah was moving onward. He was going to the land of Canaan. And they came to Haran. And he settled there. And the days of Terah in Haran were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Okay. Chapter 12. The title for this one is called The Call of Abram. And Yehovah said to Abram, okay, this is where we get to start seeing where Father speaks. He's calling out, Go out from your land and from your kinsfolk and from the house of your father into whatever land I will show to you. And I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you will be blessed. And I will bless those who bless you, and those who curse you I will curse. And in you all the tribes of the earth will be blessed. And Abram went, just as Yehovah told him, and Lot left with him. Abram was now 75 years old when he left Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot, son of his brother, and all their possessions that they acquired, and every individual that they acquired out of Haran. And they went out to go to the land of Canaan. Okay, so now they're taking off from Haran. Okay. And they went out to go to the land of Canaan, and they came to the land of Canaan. And Abram traveled through its length to the place of Shechem at the high oak. But the Canaanites at that time were residing in the land. And Yehovah appeared to Abram and said to him, I will give this land to your seed. And Abram built an altar there to Yehovah, who appeared to him. And he turned away from there to the mountain toward the east of Bethel, and set up his tent there in Bethel, toward the sea, and in Ai, but I guess you say I, toward the east, and built there an altar to Yehovah, and invoked the name of Yehovah. Okay. Like this is Yehovah's land. Invoke the name of Yehovah. And Abram departed, and as he traveled, he encamped in the wilderness. Okay, starting at verse 10, the title there is Abram and Sarai in Egypt. And a famine came over the earth, and Abram went down into Egypt to dwell beside there, because the famine over the earth was strong. It happened when Abram came near to enter into Egypt. Abram said to Sarai, his wife, I know that you are a beautiful woman. So this will happen when the Egyptians see you. They will say, this is his wife, and they will kill me. But they will keep you. Say then, I am his sister, so that it will be well with me because of you, and my soul will live on your account. It happened when Abram entered into Egypt. Once the Egyptians saw his wife, that she was very beautiful, the rulers of Pharaoh saw her and praised her to Pharaoh, and they led her to Pharaoh, and they treated Abram well because of her. And he had sheep and calves and donkeys, servants and maids, mules and camels, and Yehovah afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great and grievous trials because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Pharaoh, having summoned Abram, said, what is this you did to me, that you did not tell me that she is your wife? Why did you say, she is my sister, so that I took her as a wife for myself? And now, look, your wife is before you. Take her, depart. And Pharaoh commanded men regarding Abram, that they should accompany him and his wife and all that was his, and Lot with him. I have a little A down here for us to read about, but I don't see the little A, but by the word his that we just got done reading, there's an X, and there's not even an X on the bottom to read about, and this little A means that little X. Sorry, y'all. I just try to figure out every piece of the word, because all of it matters to help with understanding. It truly does. So now I'm just trying to, on the last page, there was no little letters to be mentioned. That's why I didn't have to say anything in regards to it. But I'm trying to see, bear with me, and there's a lot that could be said with now this new situation with Abram, who was spoken to Sarai, and then when you know all the laws at the same time, it's like, man, that can be towards this one area, that one area, as to like the whole trust issue. Where was the trust issue with Father? That did he really have to tell her to say that? But it's not to show that he didn't know something, you know, him being a man, and depending on, you know, how, sorry, at the same time as I'm talking with you, I'm trying to look for that little letter A to speak on it. But to see where Abram's own background of, I don't know, he seems to have quite a bunch of things owned to him, you know, so it kind of seems like he's something of a well-known or big himself, or just really blessed. I don't know, but he knew that how those of, I guess, big roles of leadership and what they want, you know, their desires, that it'll come about. It's not like he didn't know. Okay, I found the little A. Where that little X is by that, I don't know. There's no definition to it. But anyways, so that little A is on verse 19, and it's by the word take, where it says, and now look, your wife is before you. Take her and depart. So that word take, having received. Okay, so it would be like, and now look, your wife is before you, having received her, depart. Okay, so now it's like, having received her, now go away. But yeah, when I read this a while back, I had first started reading and recording myself a long while back, but then I ended up stopping at, I think, chapter 33, and I didn't pick it back up because I felt like I was still needing to grow more. I still feel so, but with all my family that I have met and I have on the side encouraging me that you know, you just gotta put yourself out there and start, you know, doing ministry, and Father's gonna help you along the way, you know, and don't despise humble beginnings, and, you know, encouraging words, that don't be afraid to be corrected, in a sense. Don't be afraid to fail, you know, where you feel like, oh, I said this wrong. And I know that's what I was talking about before I got started with you. I was like, taking your time. don't feel like you have to have everything all at once. I don't think even the most oldest elder that is super wise by the word doesn't have all his years completed, you know, that like he couldn't have a little bit more insight. There's always more until you're gone, you know, because we're always growing. There's always something to see by Father, because from what I came out from the previous denominations, it kind of seems like some just had that attitude. Being older is like, you know, they looked at us like, you need to grow in the word. We already know what we know, and there was that attitude that could be seen. But I think you're never always fully knowledgeable. Everything still can be learned, and then how they connect everywhere. But thinking on this, with the little bit of time that we have, I don't even know if I'll go into the next chapter here, but when I got to reading it back when, and it still comes to me today when I meditate on this, like what happened. Like at first I thought, like, why did Abram cause her to lie? Like I said, when you finally get to knowing more of Father's laws, when we get to that portion of understanding him, of the laws he brought, and I think a lot of his laws that needed to be written down is that, I don't know, so it's just like constantly in everybody's faces. I don't know how to look at it. But when you come to knowing those laws, it's like you start to think like, well, where was Abram's trust? Father is at the start of chapter 12. Father's like, go out from your land, and I basically, Father's telling him, I'm going to be with you, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great. You see where Father just starts to talk to him, and it's like, wouldn't Father have gotten mad with the fact that he caused his wife to lie? It just wasn't. It didn't. It wasn't sitting with me well when I read it back then. Like, why did he cause her to lie? And I think there's other laws too where trying to think on them at this moment, and I'm having a hard time thinking on them. I think in a sense where I was feeling about it from way back when was like, she didn't want to lie. She could have just told him no. Because then it's like if he was causing her to do something that kind of goes against what Father says not to. But I guess if their relationship with Father was barely growing, I don't know how to look at that. But here we see where it's not the woman this time. We see first from Adam and Eve where the serpent caused her to think one way, and she chose to do something and spoke and said, this is what happened, but this was told to her. This was told to Sarai to do for him. I just tend to wonder if he would have just told the truth. Would it? I know when I had spoke on this a while back, I know it could be like, well, who knows? Who knows what would come about? Would Pharaoh have killed him or not? But there is that one area in David's story where David saw Bathsheba, and he wanted her, he desired her, and there you can see where lust and desire, can lead you into murder. He set Uriah, her husband, up to go in the forefront of the battlefield, and he I guess it's known that everybody in the front that's placed there is sure is on sure death right there, I guess. And so him knowing it, he put Uriah there. Sure enough, he got to get the wife of his. So it's not like it's not a known thing. And so Abram knew that could happen to him, and he's like, look, this is what has to be said in order for me to be alive. But here we can see from it, if we can see Father through it, is that Now if we just learn to trust in him, okay, because now we have the example before us. We really don't have to not say the truth, um, like ever. It's like we should always say the truth. It's not like we should have to think that something could come out of it, and it could. It's not to say that we can't have like assumptions or play a certain scenario in our mind before we actually get to it, but we could always choose to want to say what is should be said in full truth without having to say, okay, well, if I say it this way, then maybe a different turnout can come out this way, or I'll just avoid saying this. We don't have to, because from this example, we could see that if we just stick to just saying the truth, what happened with Pharaoh? He got afflicted by Father. And I look at it as like um, Jonah's situation, okay? I know it's still a bit of ways until we get to that story, but when I got to understanding even Jonah's situation, and the storms were happening and everybody on the boat were like, what's going on? Whose God is super angry here? One of us needs to, do. But I got to see that the people on the ship, they all believed. They had a belief, and they were all wondering which God of theirs was angry. It was the God of gods. It wasn't, any of those ones that not, they're not real, but many have different beliefs or whatever. But Jonah's God was mad. It was Father Yehovah this whole time. So it's not to say that people don't have a reverence to a God. And Pharaoh had a faith of many gods, of course, but on Abram's behalf, being his chosen, Pharaoh knew something was happening to him on the accounts of Abram. It came to him. He's just like, what have you done? Because everything usually goes well for him. I'm just thinking on the situation, like everything going well for this Pharaoh, and all of a sudden something's happening. He's like, this has to be due to Abram and his wife. And so others will know. We could just tell them, look, this is what it is, and I can't do such and such things. And now we can start just putting on Father because my Father says so. Because, just read the word and you'll see why. Why this or why that. And then if they still, go about it and cause you to, or try to make you do something beyond what you've already told them, I think Father will have his way. As we see it right here. Okay, so Father afflicted Pharaoh and his house and maids, mules and camels. No, sorry, I was reading the wrong sentence there. Afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great and grievous trials because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Pharaoh, having summoned Abram, said, "What is this you did to me, that you did not tell me that she is your wife? Why did you say she is my sister, so that I took her as a wife for myself?" And see, and right there makes me wonder, is that a confession that, I don't know. I'd have to read a different version to see if it is so on how it's being worded, but that could almost seem like he might have even slept with his wife. That kind of could be seen as it. I took her as a wife, or maybe not yet and was on the verge. And that's why Father's like, ooh, before you fall fully in this, yeah, I'm gonna I'm going to afflict you here so that does not happen. So see, you can't take another man's possession. You cannot take another man's wife. That is wrong. So Father was helping out that situation before adultery could have happened, because Abram is still alive. And Father's command of you taking a second spouse is only in when the spouse is passed away. That's when you can actually be married unto another person. But if you're not, no, Father wasn't going to allow that to happen. I only have 2 more minutes left, so it's best to just stop right there. But I think what I was going to say, more or less, like, with what we have by the examples here today, like, I don't know, like I said, maybe it's still a fresh relationship between Abram and Sarai and with Father, now that Father introduced himself and called Abraham to him and hasn't really spoken to him about what to do, not to do, kind of thing. But what we have by the examples, when we finally get into the laws itself, even if your husband, we're not supposed to trust no man, not even your own household. You have to give room that everybody is not where you're at spiritually with Father. So you always have to be mindful, like I said earlier, of yourself and for yourself, with yourself, for others, the sake of others. So this way you're not causing others to stumble because of you dropping the ball, and being on guard yourself, because not everybody is where you're at either. Everybody is totally different. So we all have to kind of be mindful of each other. And so with what we have by the laws, even if your husband, it turns out to be someone that's kind of wishing for you to do something that you know the word yourself, Father's rules, and you don't want you're to fear Father even above your own husband and above your own children, even above yourself, even your own desires. You're not even supposed to like yourself in certain areas. You have to even die to yourself. So Father's always above us. But when it comes down to, like, I'm just using the husband as an example because that's what we just read right here, is that and I know it could be a little bit off from that one that I'm pulling right now. Oh, 2 seconds left. All right, we are complete for the hour. But so I can finish my thought. Is where if you've already told your husband no in a sense, and he's, for whatever the situation, I'm not going to pull out a specific, whatever it could be, a situation, and you're sticking to Father's commands more, just understand that even I think it says something along the lines where the man's prayers can be hindered. I think that's, if I'm not mistaken. Let me try to Google that up. Hold on. Okay, it's in 1 Peter 3:7, and he lets the husbands know, where it says, likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. So there we have it. It's not that you want to be, work against your husband and not want things for him, but we all now have Father's anointing to help each other, and it always has been. It always has been there for everybody to hear one another. Even women, have a voice. But if they are putting you in a position where it's convicting and, and you can show them by the word, like, no, and you're doing everything to tell them, no, I'm not going to do that. Father's been taking care of us and he's got this under control. Stick with that and pray for your husband that Father helps him and warn him, like, you better stop because Father's going to block other things that you wish to be having. And but that's just in that situation. Like I said, with Sarai here, I don't know how to look at it. I don't think they had everything fully understood, or their faith being as strong yet that he has them covered. But they did what they thought was best at the moment, and it worked out. It did exactly what Abram had thought of what the situation was going to be, and it did work out because of the fact that that was how it started to happen according to Abram's thoughts of it. But here we can see, and what I'm gleaning from here is that, and with what I understand now, like I said, I don't have to make up something or to lie about something. And true, also, we're going to get to a point, before I finish that thought right there, we're going to get to a place where he didn't really lie either. Sarai being his sister, and that'll come out later on. They do share the same father, but they have different mothers. So not necessarily a lie if you look at it, but it wasn't in full truth either. But yeah. To get back to my last thought, what I'm gleaning from it, from what I understand from everything, is that I don't have to lie. I don't have to tell anybody, whether they're in a like a celebrity or someone that's in office, someone of a known name, or fearing to tell them truth, or anybody else for that matter, about anything at all. And that if I just stick with the truth, that Father is going to take care of the situation. But anyways, that is it for today. We see how far the mind can travel in much to be said. There's so much that you can, just have a, great conversation with Father, just to meditate on what's going on, really think on, could this be so? Is this it? Is it not? And because it's not there, you can't really say it is. But it's just fun to ponder with him. Like, is it? Because none of us were there to see it. So we only have so much to think on, and I think that's what he enjoys, is that we have this relationship to where we can think, how do you think this happened? And him just reading your mind to begin with, and just seeing where your mind is going, and I think it was a friend of mine, a sister Messiah, of course, where I'm trying to think of which one I spoke about when we finally get to the kingdom, and we'll all get to see how far-fetched we were on certain thoughts, and then how some of us nailed it, just fun to hear where we came close or how we were actually not close at all. But yeah, that's all I could say, and where my thoughts are with Father before you all and with you all. And we only got through 2 chapters once again. But like I said, there's so much that you can wonder. But at the end of it, when we're all done, we should always see what can we take from it, to help us attain it that much more stronger, for it to sit, and we can always know, and especially when it comes down to Father's words and what he says, because it's his words that truly matter above everything. So this way we're not erring before him, sinning before him. But yeah, that is it for today, everybody. I hope you all are blessed with it, and I hope you guys are having fun as much as I am, just recapping everything all over again, because I haven't read this in so long, like from the beginning all the way. Don't get me wrong, right now where I'm at, I'm in Numbers with my children, but I'm always going back and just to read it the way it should from the beginning to the end, just to see Father constantly, and then how everything just floods back and where it connects to. But anyways, I hope you all are having fun as we study together. Let us pray and close out. Father Yehovah, we come before you giving you thanksgiving, Father, for your words today, what we could see by your words, what was written, where the mind can think on so many directions of how it went down or how it could have looked. Not knowing in full, but just to give you that part of our wondering, just to show you where our thoughts are. And we thank you for your words that we can actually see right there, and what was truly stated by you, the part where it really matters by it all. So from what I got today, Father, I pray that I'm always being mindful to the plans that I wish to, lay out for myself, or that of, my household. If I'm wishing to put a plan together and to build it up, I pray it's never in the wrong attitude, not thinking that you can't tear it down, because it always has to be approved by you. We always got to know that things come by your saying of what to do and what not to do, and hope that as each step we take, that it's being blessed by you the whole way through, because attitudes can, our attitudes can set us at odds with you. And we don't want to do that, Father, to where we think we're putting you on our plans and saying you have said when you haven't, or if we're trying to do it, on overstepping your role and saying we're going to do it regardless. Things will backfire, Father. So I pray that, I'm always being mindful to that, and my attitude about it, and to understand that words do have power. You pay attention to everything we say, and so if you can work it against us to show us you said it and you did it, it can backfire for what we say, especially when the bad attitude is there. So I pray on that, and then from what I glean from the situation with Abram and Sarai and Pharaoh at this moment is knowing what I know now, Father, um, not to worry about those I come in contact with, that I always share in truth everything because of what I know by your word in its entirety. Of course, not everything fully memorized yet, but the stuff I do know, I know just to lean on you, and the one that I can see that is not in the same faith as I am with you. They don't know you. You will handle them, on my behalf because I am your daughter. I just have to speak what I know that is by you, Father. So I pray the same prayer for all my family out there that are in Torah, no matter um, uh, I don't know where I was going with that thought. Just all of us, Father, all of us in Torah. Um, I was going to say not just a specific, uh, like group of us. I know I always assemble with HOIs, the HOI family out there, House of Israel. But I'm saying all of us, every single one, Father, that is putting forth our efforts, in other group areas, that all of us have that same um, understanding with you. I pray that for all of us, Father, being in one as a body unto you. And I pray for those that have yet to come in, Father. I pray that that those that are studying with me, they're seeing you, and they're being drawn by you, Father, seeing that you are good and that your ways are true, and that they will make their way permanently in you. So in Yeshua's name, Father, I love you, and I lift us all up before you. In Yeshua's name, amen. Well, you guys have a great rest of the week, and I shall see you again next Monday. And hopefully, maybe, I could try to squeeze another one. I know I say that, but at least I'm getting my Mondays in, back on it. So, but I will see you then, and I love you all.